Thank you, Kahraman, for joining us today on Let's Talk Business series by RealtyNXT.
Thank you for having me on the show. Really looking forward to our conversation.
So, I'm sure our viewers are also very much interested to know what inspired you to create Olive. And from that moment of the journey, from the inception till now becoming the market leader in co-living and hospitality, how has it been?
So, our journey actually started in January 2020. Just before the pandemic, and our initial business plan at that point, as you know, Olive is a subsidiary of Embassy Group, and the group has large-scale business parks where you have thousands and thousands of millennial and Gen Z employees who are working, and these are all migrants who are moving into cities for work and job opportunities, and unfortunately, it's really hard for them to find an inclusive accommodation space. So that was the biggest need behind, the idea for Olive, where we want to basically provide purpose-built accommodation space for migrant millennials and Gen Z who are migrating to large-scale cities. And initially, when we started, obviously, our target was only co-living, where we were looking to do long-stay accommodation only. But after the first wave of COVID-19, we saw an opportunity to take over underperforming hotels. And, even in a pandemic-like environment, you still have people traveling. People always need a roof over their head, even though short-term demand was really non-existent. But we felt that, there will be people who are in need of accommodation space at that time. So we took over, and that's when our hybrid strategy came into place. And we said, let's take over these underperforming hotels. We'll position them as hybrid, which means that, we'll be able to operate them both long stay and short stay. And that's what exactly we did. And we saw that we were able to fill up the buildings even on those tough times. And we targeted defense, pharma, healthcare industries. And post second wave, when the business start coming back, we slowly start pivoting to full hybrid, where we're operating both short and long stay. And from that point on, once the business came back, it came back with a roar. And our short stay business actually really took off. So today, Olive is at 65 locations in 5 cities, is growing, and we're basically targeting millennials and Gen Z as our main clientele. Yeah. But yet we have people from all walks of life, from 18 to 70, I would say. And it's not just migrant millennials and Gen Z. We have families who stay with us in many of our properties as well. So it was about providing, purpose-built, high-standard, quality accommodation space. But it's not just about a roof over their head. We want to basically give them a sense of belonging, where we would provide a community infrastructure, where we would, like to kind of design spaces in a way that enhances social interaction. So it's more than merely just accommodation. It's a sense of belonging. It's a sense of community.
True. And also post-pandemic, we have noticed there has been a huge traction when it comes to rent and stay, when it comes to vacation homes, as well co-living. So in such scenario where the competition is high, there are multiple players in this particular market, how do you set benchmark in redefining urban living experience? As well, how do you stay ahead? What differentiates you among these players to stay ahead the curve?
So, I think what happened is, in the pandemic, video conferencing became part of our lives. Actually, it was the second day of lockdown where I got introduced to Zoom and Microsoft Teams. And today that has become an integral part of how we live, work and play. And we're seeing that in business travel, you don't have to do as much physical travel, where you can do many meetings online, whether it's connecting with friends and family instead of face-to-face. Now you're able to do many of these things. So I think, that's one thing that we saw, what really reshaped how we live, work and play. And in the pandemic, what happened is majority of our properties are in the city center, and these are, on average, key count was about 40 rooms. And when you look at the operational side of a business, when you have 40 rooms and you're operating a short stay operation in that building, you have your check-in, check-out peak hours in the morning and in the evening. But you have to man the reception. You would have one doer, one checker, and you have to do that for 24/7. And especially when we looked at the night shift, our employees were sitting at the reception waiting for one or two check-ins who might come and who might not come. And we saw a lot of inefficiencies on that front. Also, simultaneously at the same time, what happened is I saw an education institution in US who had foreign students from China, and they were trying to educate them. And what they did was they utilized the same video conferencing technology to set up a remote campus in one of co-working spaces in Shanghai. And we saw that if people are being able to be educated with this technology, we should be able to check in people.
Right.
So that was one innovation that we introduced. And that allowed us to centralize our receptions in our office, where we have a central remote reception management setup. And that derived out a lot of efficiency in terms of operations. On the other hand, our staff, our guests, most of them millennials and Gen Z, everyone is now well versed with the video conferencing tool. So they actually did appreciate this as well. So that was one differentiating factor where we were able to increase a lot of efficiency, but also elevate the guest experience. And the way we did that was another layer of technology that we introduced in the pandemic was artificially intelligent AI-enabled audio and video analytics system. So that allowed us to migrate mid-level management's responsibilities onto a system where anything related to security or standard operating procedure, monitoring, pretty much whatever a mid-level management team does on site. Now we've been able to migrate that to the system. So that freed up a lot of our staff's time, where we are now able to focus on the hospitality service that we deliver. And hospitality is about the human connection, the empathy. And I think, that's been one differentiating factor. We're able to focus on delivering a better hospitality service. So I think, these have been some of the differentiating factors that sets us apart from the rest of the competition. But it's learning is continuous. We're at school every day. So there is always room for improvement. So, we strive to elevate the experience or the service we deliver in every way possible.
So what would you say in terms of pricing? How are you strategizing the pricing when it comes to these properties of Olive? Because the competition, there are different kind of marketing or advertising happening where they say you get the best of the hospitality of 5-star in a very affordable pricing. How would you say when it comes to pricing, would you consider yourself as a premium or affordable for the target audience you are achieving?
So I would say that we're a premium economy brand, closer to upper side, closer to the more premium end of the segment. And today in Bangalore, our prices range anywhere from, on average, 2,500 to 3,500 rupees, depends on location and on time of booking. We feel that we've been able to position Olive as the top of the premium economy segment. That is where we are seeing the largest demand, and it is the most underserved segment in the industry. And so that represents a huge opportunity.
I've heard, and there's been recent news that you're planning to launch a franchise models next year, right? So when it comes to this particular model, why get into it, and especially in a market like India?
So now, obviously, what we see is we are following the footsteps of international hospitality brands. And when we look at the journey of international hospitality brands, all of them started with the real estate business, where they would build and own their own assets.
Yes.
And then from their own, they have the management business where they would manage other people's third-party owners' properties on their behalf. But what we're seeing is eventually over time, these hospitality giants let go of the real estate investment. They move to a truly asset-light model. And then from there on, then we see the shift where they move to a management model where it's asset-light, but still pretty hands-on, where they roll up the sleeves and do all the service themselves.
Yes.
And eventually, I think for any brand, the ultimate goal is to move to a franchise where you have your brand recall, you have a strong distribution engine, you have your set of standards, and you have a good follower base in terms of number of customers. So we're following in the footsteps of international hospitality brands. And obviously, that comes with rapid expansion. It's a lot less cumbersome than doing management on site. But I think, we're looking to tackle this in a different way. So with our remote management technology stack, that we feel that we want to kind of reinvent some of the traditional ways of working in hospitality. So we just filed for a patent for systems and methods of remote hotel management just recently in October. And actually, the day we filed the patent, one of our guests took a picture saying that peak Bangalore moment, virtual receptionists are here, and that went viral. So the reaction was really interesting. But what we are seeing is now you have management, you have franchise, and then we have something called manchise in the middle, which is management/franchise. So now we don't want to do any of them. What we want to do is want to do terminology that we've nailed, I think. We call it ramchise. Ramchise is remotely managed franchise. So where we are looking to partner up with asset owners in all kinds of geographies across the country. Yet we still want to retain the front of the house and back of the house management remotely through our technology stack. I mean, I think that is one of the biggest problems in franchise business, where your quality control and consistency across the board as you scale quickly is one of the hardest things to tackle. And we feel that our technology positions us in a strong way where we'll be able to deliver consistent quality product and service across the board, no matter which geography we go to. So I think, a rapid expansion and scaling to the capillaries of the country. I mean, today OLive, we see that we can have it in tier 2, 3, 4, 5 cities. So the market is huge. India is a subcontinent. Half of the population is millennial and Gen Z. So therefore, we have a lot of work to do. And in order today, supply is expected to grow about 5%, where demand is outpacing that supply in a great way. And I think the franchise model will also allow us to react to that under the supply-demand mismatch that is there today, and hopefully become a solution to that problem in a way.
So as you mentioned, with franchise model, it comes with its pros and cons, right? So I want to ask, how do you plan to balance between in-house management and the third-party franchise operations, making sure the OLive vision and the quality and the way you have spoken, how you want to make sure it's been seamless, technology-wise, everything is maintained across the diverse markets where you're expanding into?
So now, I mean, our business plan for the next 7 years is basically we would like to scale to 100,000 rooms, about 1 lakh rooms. And out of this, our vision is that we will have 30,000 of these rooms managed by us personally, as by OLive, and about 70,000 of these rooms that we're planning to do under the remotely managed franchise model. So with that said, now we've set up business development and sales offices in the top 6 cities: Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi, NCR, and we have a regional office in Goa as well. So we see these as regional offices. So in the big cities, we will be mostly managing ourselves, where we establish our regional operation centers out of those locations, and then basically franchise out to the wider geography from those locations. And on the franchise model, because of the remotely managed front office, from one station, we are able to man 10 receptions. So that allows us to really drive out incredible efficiency. And today we are able to hire 5-star level top hospitality talent. And because that same team members are overseeing multiple receptions, because of that cost efficiency that exists there, we're able to bring in that 5-star quality into 2-star hospitality. I think, in a nutshell, that is our strategy. Even though franchise management will be remote, but we will still have backup redundancy systems in place, where we still have geographical reach with these regional offices, but through technology and through the efficiencies that we drive, that we are able to hire top talent in the industry. And obviously our retention in line with the packages that we can offer to our employees is much, much higher. So these are some of the strategies that we're planning to implement in order to maintain that consistent quality services delivered across the board, no matter how quickly and how much we scale.
And these regional offices, what kind of technology are you planning to integrate?
So, I mean, today, Bangalore is the outsourced capital of the world. We feel that pretty much all the reception management would happen from over here. But on the ground now, we have many on-site tools where our area managers, cluster managers use for audit functions, where our housekeeping staff use the same audit functions. So all of these are automated, and that is for internal management. But when a guest comes in, for instance, we start conversing with them on WhatsApp, and then when they come into the property, they can converse with our virtual receptionist and then interact. And from there on, once they check in, they move into their room. And again, over there, we have a tool where the guest is able to communicate with us through that technology. So whether it's back of the house management, whether it's customer facing guest experience management side of it, again, these tech tools enables us to be on top of the service that we deliver at all times. So today, when we look at most hospitality brands, usually how we measure performance or how we check if a hotel is good or not is we go online, we look at the reviews and the ratings. And the way we view that is end of the service. If there's a negative review over there, and we react to that, that's usually damage control. So we feel that's too late. So these tools allows us to gauge the customer journey from the moment they start communicating with us until the property and leave a review. So at any point, if you're saying no to something or something went wrong, we can say, okay, let's send a fruit basket or let's send the manager to talk to the guest. So these things allows us to intercept at whether it's in the back end, whether it's at the front end. So we feel these things are really going to help us make sure that we're delivering that consistently across the board.
And will you be also building a tool, or correct me if I'm wrong, is there a tool existing in the main head offices where you can remotely access these regional or cities, portals, or the properties where you can see what's happening, not just from the front end where the customer journey begins, also from the back end, be your housekeeping wise, be the daily updates, all the security protocols. So is there a tool existing right now?
Yes. So, we developed a tech stack where we have partnered up with third-party vendors in this space. And the total technology pool that we use is maybe comprising of 30 different tools, depends on which area that we use it. But the system allows us, as I said, the video conferencing tools allows us to gauge the customer's interaction with us in a live manner. But on the back of the house, the AI-enabled audio-video analytics system allows us to monitor these standard operating procedures remotely. And so today, our staff attendance is taken with the camera system. We don't have a manager keeping count on who came at what time, who worked how much overtime, vice versa. The housekeeping SOP monitoring, for instance, you can give it a rule saying that Kahraman needs to mop this area between 1 and 2 p.m. with 120 strokes with a face mask on. It reports that remotely. So there's no manager who's going to be able to do that for you. Let's say we are 3 housekeepers, 2 of my colleagues are mopping 20,000 mops. I'm mopping 15,000, then I'm underperforming. So now these tech tools allows us to have incredible insight and have really high situational awareness. So that was front of the house and back of the house, but also on the security aspect of it. Crowding analysis, left baggage, fire detection, falling person, intrusion detection, whether it's safety or security. I think, with having the lowest manpower ratio on the ground, yet having the highest situational awareness and doing this remotely, I think is a unique capability. And, we feel that the industry can benefit from this.
True. And also I've heard from many players that when it comes to tier 2 or tier 3 cities, there are a lot of challenges. So I want to understand from your perspective, what are the unique challenges did you face in entering into tier 2, tier 3 cities, and how are you planning to address it?
So, now what we see is a lack of infrastructure is probably the biggest challenge over there. We do both brownfield building conversions and also we do greenfield as well. So, I would say that the physical infrastructure needs to be built in a lot of places. There's immense investment that is going on into airports, the roads, the transportation networks. The number of airports is expected to cross 200 soon. You look at Air India, Indigo, the size of the plane orders that they gave is unmatched in the world. So with that, the better the connectivity, I think the more investment is going to go into those markets as well. But it's really exciting. I think those challenges do come with their opportunities. So if you're not finding compliant brownfield buildings to convert, then we'll need to roll up our sleeves and partner up with the local investors, developers, and in some cases where we will be building new infra ourselves.
Okay. So with the verticals like Olive Life, Zip, Hotel, Villa, how do you approach diversification without losing focus on the core customer needs?
So now, with that, in the pandemic, we acquired many number of buildings, and some of them were short-term, some of them were long-term. And with that said, we had to sub-segmentize and have multiple brands. And actually, that allows us to capture the customer's life cycle in a much better manner. I mean, let's say someone is a student, they can become an Olive Life customer at 18, they can graduate from us. And then once they're job hunting, they're going to the cities, they can become our short stay customer at an Olive Zip, which is our express hotels with reception and just rooms, no amenities. One level above that is Olive Hotel, where we have co-working, lounging spaces, a lot more elaborate common areas. And with that said, the multi-brand strategy allows us to capture the different segments of the market and serve different needs. So none of them really cannibalize each other or step on each other. They all cater to different segments and market. And after Bangalore, our biggest expansion has been into Goa. And the reason behind that is, we're looking to build an aspirational brand. And today, when I go out on the street, if I ask anyone, what are your top 10 bucket list destinations in India? I think Goa tops the list by far. So therefore, that is on that front. Whether they travel for business, whether they travel for leisure, we want to capture that. So the multi-brand strategy helps us allow to do that. So on top of that, we just did a partnership with Hilton Hotels to bring one of their premium economy brands called Spark by Hilton to India. And we signed for 150 hotels for southern and western states. So again, Olive operates at 2,000 to 4,000 rupees in South India, let's say. Right. And Spark by Hilton is going to allow us to cater to the 4,000 to 6,000 rupee segment, where our customers can evolve with us over time, and we are able to offer them products and services at each stage of their journey.
So in this recent launch only, you had also announced that you're looking for such brand collaborations and looking for a bigger tie-ups with the corporate houses, right?
Yeah.
So what exactly are you aiming for when it comes to Indian market for such collaborations?
So now, when we look at the number of hotel rooms, the branded hotel rooms and the unbranded segment, it's staggering. I mean, it's staggering on one side by the sheer number of the demand, what's there, and it's really, really underserved in one aspect. So I think today India has close to about 1.7 lakh branded rooms for a population of 1.4 billion. It's the most populous country. Where you look at US has a population of 300 million and they have 5 million hotel rooms. So that is on the branded side. But when we look at especially the economy budget, this segment is very unorganized. And we feel that you need institutional players who are going to bring in a sense of standardization and institutionalization into this segment. So, and we're looking to address that challenge in two ways. I mean, one, have a number of our own brands, but also partner up with hospitality giants like Hilton to be able to capture wider part of the market. So we feel that our focus is on economy, budget, and upper scale, mid-scale, let's say. And having set of our own brands and having these international brand partnerships allows us to tackle that in a quick manner. And we are seeing a huge demand-supply gap on that front. So
right. So as we were discussing that how you will be looking into the tie-ups and the collaboration with international brands as well to bring them in India, I want to understand how are you leveraging the partnership which you have existing with Embassy and WeWork? How has they helped in the Olive growth story? So
today, Embassy is one of the largest office providers in the country. WeWork is the first co-working company who established the asset class, the flexible managed accommodation space. And, we are very fortunate, have Embassy Group as our parent company and WeWork is our sister company. Obviously, what we're trying to do now is Olive is positioned itself as an accommodation partner. Right. To both for Embassy's multinationals and all of WeWork's clients. And I think, that really is helping us as well in our growth story. And catering to whether we cater to a giant multinational or we cater to a young startup, it's the same expectation, same customer profile in a way. And that we're obviously trying to leverage those relationships. And we have a captive audience that we are fortunate enough that we can actually deliver our products and services to.
Great. So now 2025 being around the corner, what is in the pipeline of Olive? We want to know, I'm sure our viewers would like to know in 2025, what are the launches happening? What are the projects there in the picture?
So 2025 for Olive is the expansion year, where now we're really looking to roll out all of our brands pan-India. We have set up our offices in Mumbai. Our Mumbai office also takes care of Goa and Pune. Hyderabad, Chennai and Delhi NCR offices have been set up. So now we already have buildings under refurbishment and construction in Hyderabad, Vijayawada, Pune. And now we're going to be not only going to the large metros, we have quite a few leisure destinations. Some of them will involve some spiritual destinations, religious destinations as well. So I think 2025 is going to be the expansion where we establish our operations in the large cities, also rolling out our remotely managed franchise model. So I think 2025 is going to be an exciting year for us.
Interesting. And this will be about all the verticals that we discussed, be about the Olive Life, the Zip, the Villa, everything.
All the verticals, including the Spark by Hilton brand as well. And we have great interest for pretty much all the brands. I mean, Olive is now delivering one of the best owners' return. And, even though we are a hospitality company, we see ourselves, we always measure our business by return on real estate. We look at what's the return per square foot, ARRs, occupancy. Gross operating profit is obviously one measure to look at from a hospitality angle, but we look at on the return per square foot on the real estate, and that is delivering good enough numbers. And today 70% of our business is growing by way of positive reference of our existing owners. So we just want to keep building on that, and as long as we can stick to delivering good numbers to our owners and delivering good hospitality to our guests, and a satisfying and a good career opportunity to our employees, I think we should be able to realize our ambitions.
Nice. And talking about numbers, I've come across some quite interesting numbers. So Olive reported a 76% increase in revenue last fiscal year, reaching rupees 51 crores, right? So what were the key drivers of this growth, and how do you plan to sustain this the way you are scaling?
I think the key driver for that was rapid expansion, obviously. And post-pandemic, we saw many brownfield buildings that were potential opportunities. And, the good thing about brownfield conversion or being a conversion-friendly brand is that you can turn things around quite quickly. Obviously, when we say we're going to do a greenfield project, if you take at best 6 months for planning and approvals, and even if you build it in 2 years, you're talking at almost 30 months kind of timeline. Whereas a brownfield project, we are able to sign, design, refurbish, and do an opening in anywhere from 90 to 180 days. So I think, brownfield is going to be, again, our main focus. But as I said, in a lot of the places, we are seeing a lack of quality infrastructure where we will take on greenfield opportunities as well. So I think, the key over there is balancing the pipeline of having both brownfield projects, which will have a much quicker turnaround, but then also investing in the future growth by tying up for greenfield projects.
Right. And tell me, do you have any kind of a checklist? Because there are a lot of hotels and there are a lot of co-living, I would say, properties around India market, but basis on certain unfortunate scenes, they shut down certain places in certain cities. But when it comes to this kind of closing down of operations, do you go through certain checklists that this is not working in this particular city?
Of course. One, obviously, we are fully compliant in terms of how we operate with authorities. But when we look at certain locations, not every brand will work everywhere. So with that, we have a diligent business development team who scouts and looks for the opportunities. Then our sales team looks at, is this a viable location? Do we have enough demand to drive? What is the demand supply analysis looking like? And we do the best use study for every project. And that kind of tells us, and certain times, the best use of that building might be a commercial office space, which is not something we do ourselves. Or the best use of that space might be to the residential building where the developer should be selling that asset.
Right.
So in those times, we advise our owners, our partners in the right way, so we don't take on anything and everything. Obviously, getting the legality right, then getting the business metrics is right is another angle, but then also, is it appealing to our customer?
True.
And, are we able to bring out that olive DNA into the building or into our operations? So we do have rigorous systems in place to make sure that, we're putting our time and effort into right locations.
So overall, if I have to ask you, 2024 now coming to an end, how has it been for hospitality and co-living sector?
So now I think 2024 has been an amazing year, and both for hospitality and co-living, I would say. If you look at the urbanization rate today is about 2.5% per year. That means India has about 3 crore people migrating to cities every year. And that's almost like India has to build one Canada every year. And, your cities can't take all this. And, it gets, your towns are becoming cities, cities are becoming mega cities. So with that said, I think the outlook in both midterm and long term is very positive in both sectors, whether it's residential, built to rent, or multifamily, as we would call it, rented accommodation, or whether it's for hospitality. Demand is expected to outpace supply for the foreseeable future. And I think, 2024 was a great reflection of that. But I think in the next year and in the coming years, this is set to continue. So we just want to keep at it and keep expanding at the pace that we're doing, but while also ensuring that we have the quality and the level of service that we would like to deliver to our customers.
Right. And we have noticed even in the current report, it has been said last year and this year, especially in hospitality sector, we have noticed this term called revenge vacationing, right? Where people are going to different cities, different hotels and everything. What kind of trends are you predicting for hospitality and co-living when it comes to 2025?
Post-pandemic, there was incredible surge in travel.
Yes.
And, we called it revenge travel at that point. The demand was very strong and very consistent. But in 2024, what we've seen that seasonality is back. But the prices have changed. And the preferences have changed. And today, with video conferencing, people are able to work from anywhere.
Right.
So business travel has changed. So we feel that because of the demand-supply mismatch, that the strong demand will continue. But pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, it has changed. And we are seeing that we'll have a lot of people who are working from leisure destinations where they're still able to attend to their work remotely. So live, work and play is getting blurred. The lines are getting blurred. It's all merging. So I think, technology is really helping us distribute the demand evenly across these geographies. Whereas only on holiday times you would have really strong demand in leisure destinations, vice versa. But now we are seeing that that's getting kind of leveled out. But it's really exciting. I think, this trend is expected to continue both on travel side and on the co-living side. Today, supply for the millennial and Gen Z is really non-existent or very unorganized. So on that front, we do expect to see a strong demand for premium purpose-built accommodation, which caters to the needs of these migrant millennials and Gen Z who are traveling for work and education.
Right. And in beginning, we have noticed AI was a buzzword, but now AI has been integrated in every sector in their daily operations. So in 2025, where do you see when it comes to co-living market and hospitality? Do you feel Indian market is in that maturity when it comes to adapting the high-end technology for this particular sector?
So, I think India is amazing in many, many ways. And I think some of the best inventions the country has is, I would say, Aadhaar. UPI,
Right.
and the adoption of that is really unmatched. And you go to the West, the adoption is not this much. And so today, India is Bangalore especially is the Silicon Valley of Asia.
Yeah.
And when we look at the software engineers who are trained in this field is immense, and they're very talented. And when you look at globally, some of the best talent is Indian talent. So we feel that I feel that India is very much way ahead of everyone else on that front. And I think it's going to be one of the leading forces behind the AI revolution that we're currently in.
And you're even talking about the co-living in a hospitality segment.
Co-living hospitality segment, adapting the technology.
Right.
So whether it's the customers using it to enhance their own life, or whether, as I tried to explain before, we adapt it in our operations. Today Bangalore is the startup capital of India. We have 7,000 startups. We have the highest number of software engineers over here. The amount of innovation that's happening in tech, in hospitality, in co-living is a lot. Every week we meet with one or two startups who have some great ideas. So on that front, I think both for real estate, both for hospitality, I think AI adoption here is way ahead of many other geographies globally.
Great, interesting. So I need to ask about Gift City with you, because there's been a lot of developments from universities to commercial to residential building coming in. Where do you see co-living market existing in this kind of scenario where it's becoming a financial hub?
So, when we look at the global financial centers, I think, Dubai is probably one of the newest ones. But you look at London, New York, and over there, what happens is obviously incredible employment opportunities is the first thing. And once you have these employment opportunities, obviously the employees need to come, live, work, and play over there. So I feel it's a great initiative to have that economic zone where Gujarat is attracting that kind of investment and attracting multinational companies to come and set up their hubs over there. So I feel that it is a great opportunity both for hospitality and both for co-living.
And will we be seeing Olive making any plans to Gift City?
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
The business plan is pan-India, and we don't want to leave any stone unturned. And definitely, I feel Gift City represents an immense opportunity in itself as well.
Right. And by 2030, where do you envision Olive be in Indian and global market? Because what kind of legacy you want to leave?
So, our business plan by that time is we are looking to reach about 1 lakh rooms in multiple sectors. So we are a multi-brand hospitality management company, whether it's our long-stay business, whether it's our short-stay business under our own brands, or whether it's the international brand partnerships. So, we envision a mature hospitality company, which is probably one of the largest in that time, hopefully, if we are able to fulfill our ambitions. And, who has brought in, and elevated the standards in the industry, whether it's from a physical aspect, whether it's from an operational aspect, and, be a market leader in its own right.
Great. So I'll come to my famous round is rapid fire. So describe Olive in 3 words.
Fun, energetic, soulful.
Okay. And one skill every entrepreneur must master.
Perseverance.
Nice. What's your go-to mantra for decision making under pressure?
Step back, take bigger picture, and give it time.
Nice. So what's an underrated aspect of the co-living industry that deserves more attention?
It's the largest asset class, multifamily built to rent, and it is poised to become. So it's still kind of overlooked, but it's going to happen.
Okay. If you could have dinner with any historical or business figure, who would it be and why?
I would have with Elon Musk.
And why?
He's a big inspiration.
Okay, nice. What's the one city you love to launch Olive in but haven't yet?
There are so many.
Name one. Name one city.
Name one. Okay, I would say Delhi.
Delhi.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you could bring one international hospitality brand to India, which one would it be?
It would be Hilton.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the day as a CEO?
Morning.
Morning. And why?
It's my quiet time where I get to strategize, plan for the day.
Okay. A book or a movie that inspires you the most?
Or a movie, I would say Prince by Machiavelli.
And why?
I think it has some really philosophical, foundational things about life.
Okay. And if you weren't building Olive, what career would you pursue? And you can't state real estate.
I can't state real estate.
Yeah. So what other career would you have pursued?
I'm a photographer.
Photographer.
I wouldn't make a career out of that.
Okay.
But as a hobby, architect.
Architect, nice. What's your biggest learning from scaling Olive?
Continuous learning. Every day is different, and what you do today is not going to fit your bill tomorrow. So you need to keep reinventing yourself.
Right. The worst and the best advice you received while you were entrepreneur. It's not necessary you applied that worst advice, but when you look back, it makes you chuckle.
Worst advice was you can't do it.
Okay. And best?
Best advice was go for it.
Go for it. So what's a business trend everyone's hyped about, but you think it's overrated? It can be in co-living and hospitality.
I think the use of AI is hyped in the wrong way.
Right.
And the expectation out of that is hyped in the wrong way. But I think the implementation is going to be very different.
Okay.
I think that's one trend.
And what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Just invest in yourself as much as possible.
And lastly, I want to ask, what's one thing that motivates you to push boundaries every day?
To prove to myself how much capable I am.
Okay. So before we wrap up, I want you to give our viewers and the aspiring real estate entrepreneurs who would be watching this podcast, what is that one key takeaway they should take from this conversation?
I mean, I think, our journey starting before pandemic and experiencing the pandemic and now post-pandemic, I think, our journey has been, the biggest highlight has been adaptability and being ready for change. And, once the wind starts blowing in a different direction, in order for you to keep going, you need to adjust your sales. For that ship to move. So I would say, adapting to change. I think that is one advice that I would like to give.
And thank you so much for coming today on Let's Talk Business series. It was lovely to have you and hear the story of Olive, and I'm sure our viewers would know more about it. And I wish you great luck for the expansion that you're planning in 2025. I'm sure will be really major turn for the Olive.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.